Everywhere you look, there's a work of art to catch your eye. Whether we're basking in the glory of Mother Nature or standing awestruck at the metropolitan monoliths of modernity with some of the craziest installations in human history, the artist's canvas has certainly shifted through the ages. Historically, street art has suffered a bad rap, particularly in the early days of hip-hop and graffiti. But now, both spray paint and latex are pushing the boundaries of the creative medium. From optical illusions to moving mannequins, here's 15 amazing street art that is at another level.
Skeletons rising from the dead. This is in Mexico City. People, of course, as you might guess, are preparing for Dia de Muertos, the Day of the Dead festival.
Don't forget to hit the like button, subscribe to Missing Files, and click the notification bell for the best daily videos. Gregor Wozik's optical illusions. Alright, for our first entry into the weird and wonderful world, let's take a look at one of the most surprising and unexpected practitioners of the concrete canvas. While street art is typically associated with graffiti artists and social revolutionaries trying to take a chunk out of the system, believe it or not, but that's not always the case. Meet Gregor Wozik, a Polish-German artist who's classically trained and has been practicing his incredible art since the early 1980s. His style is exciting, thrilling, and oftentimes slightly scary for ordinary members of the public. Formerly, Wozik was inspired by the old masters of classic art, with his favorite idols being Caravaggio and Rembrandt, and his style has been forged by the various oil and acrylic paintings of the old world. However, Gregor Wozik enjoyed nothing more than the huge mural paintings of old, and after seeking a bigger and bigger canvas to produce his art, he finally found the walls of buildings and the concrete pavement of the streets as the perfect place to ply his craft. In 2008, Wozik presented his first exhibition in Vienna, Austria, where he used optical illusions and 3D perspectives to recreate some of the ancient biblical scenes of the old masters. Don't look down. The title murals. The truth is, graffiti and urban exploration often go hand in hand, and most of the thrill that was captured in the early days of street art was in trying to access the most inaccessible of places in order to leave behind a tag or a mural that signified that you, the artist, were there. It was awesome and thrilling, and part of the reason why graffiti became so impactful during the late 80s and the 90s. So then, what could possibly be more inaccessible than painting a picture underwater? Okay, maybe not quite, but the method remains the same. Meet Hawaiian artist Sean Yoro, an incredible talent who has taken his painting studio along for a ride on the waves of the Hawaiian shoreline and across the waterways and rivers of the beautiful Hawaiian islands. Although the artist has been pretty coy about the exact location of these murals, he insists that all of them were installed in places that appear to be abandoned and lifeless. His goal was to breathe life into the areas through murals and art, installing them in the most unexpected of places. Sean's intention was to represent the many changing moods of the times that we're currently living through, almost as if the landscape itself had a myriad of emotions to present. Beautiful. Insane 51's hidden art. Alright, for this next entry, you'll probably need those blue and red 3D glasses that you get at the movies to comprehend the full mastery of this incredible art. But luckily for us, some sort of the technical wizardry has given us the ability to truly appreciate its optical illusion. Meet Stathis Savalius, also known as Insane 51. Eventually came to the artistic realization that blending both green and overlapping layers would create a three-dimensional illusionary effect. The rest, as they say, is history. As one of the pioneers of a method known as the double exposure 3D, Insane 51 has since partnered with many art exhibitions across the planet, including some of the most prestigious street art festivals in Europe, where his pioneering eye for optical illusions have wowed bystanders. Depending on the color of the light exposure on the street art, observers will see contrasting images. In some lights, they'll see a beautiful woman staring back at them. In others, they'll see a terrifying and snarling wolf. Awesome. Tom Bob's Reinventions. While street art is often reserved for the incredible talent of spray painting lifelike and photorealistic murals, we also have to applaud those that seek to repurpose the most mundane inner-city objects. For our next entry, let's take a look at a street artist to whom nothing is useless. Meet Tom Bob, an artist who has since gained a reputation for running amok the streets of New York and Massachusetts, who uses the forgotten elements of the street to create a series of whimsical and oftentimes magical artwork. Whether it's turning electric meters into devious primates or turning sewer drains into the ghosts from Pac-Man, Tom Bob somehow manages to see things that others have failed to. While many would take a look at a boring old manhole cover and see nothing but an entrance to a sewer, Tom Bob sees a cast iron skillet frying eggs. Many would look at old window covers and rustled metal bars, but Tom Bob sees the silhouette of a bird that has escaped its cage. Although the work can be seen as simple, it's certainly far from obvious, and it's difficult to look at the whimsical works of Tom Bob and not crack a smile. And that's amazing. Ray Medina Jean's Dia de los Muertos mural. Alright, hold on to your hats because this next one is mind-blowing, believe it or not, but by using crumbling street features, junk and rubble, this incredible artist brought to life the idea of a skeleton rising from the rubble, much in keeping with the immensely important Dia de los Muertos, the Mexican Day of the Dead festival that celebrates ancestors from eras past. The multi-day holiday, where celebrations are traditionally commenced on November 1st, involves family and friends gathering to pray for and remember friends and loved ones that have since passed away. However, rather than being a dark and mournful affair, the festival itself celebrates the spirit realm, and Mexican people do not see it as a day of sadness, but rather a means of celebration for their loved ones. Back in 2019, to commemorate this sentiment, an artist named Raimundo Medina built this gigantic skeleton in the middle of a street. Piles upon piles of crumbled concrete were used to create the illusion that the skeleton itself was bursting from the asphalt, and the result was insane. Considering the crazy events of 2020 so far, we wonder what other skeletal sculptures are awaiting this year's Dia de los Muertos. M-City's Carvive mural. While many examples of street art are applied for the sheer joy of being alive, some other murals depict a much deeper display of the human condition. Such is the case with M-City's Carvive murals, a series of spray-painted pieces that have attempted to tackle the complexity of modern-day Eastern Europe. Located in the streets of Carvive, Ukraine, these pieces, created by the incredibly talented artist M-City, depict what it means to live as a free person in modern-day Ukraine. Considering the troubled Soviet history, as well as being a country awash with both Russian sympathizers and freedom fighters, amidst a proud independent political landscape, mixed in with a tradition of hard labor and industrialization, this series of astonishing street art signifies that the individual in Ukraine finds their own identity constantly at war in a state of compromise. M-City, otherwise known as Mario Suarez, was born in the late 1970s in the Ukrainian town of Gdynia and has since gained a reputation in the art world for being one of the most radical and free-thinking street artists of the past few decades. His work focuses strictly on urban spaces, mainly across the architecture of the old Eastern Bloc, and can be seen amongst the streets of Warsaw, Berlin, Paris, London, Prague, and many more places across the planet. Subway Station Bowie Portrait. Although many of the incredible pieces that have already featured on this list are instantly recognizable, few of them are as iconic as our next entry. David Bowie, one of the most prolific and legendary musicians to have ever lived, was captured in an incredible street art installation at New York's Broadway Lafayette subway as a tribute to the late great artist. In a collaboration between Spotify and the Brooklyn Museum, this fragmented street art styled portrait, which makes use of natural urban features, the beams in this case, captures Bowie in distinctive photorealism, but only from a certain angle. Certainly, it's a fitting testament to the life of an artist who knew so many different identities, different phases, eras, and journeys within a singular artist's life. The subway takeover explored the musician's influence on music, fashion, and culture, and the installation also included printed quotes, fan-made art, and maps of his favorite New York City hangouts. Better still, above ground, the exhibition featured life-sized cardboard cutouts of Bowie that were placed all across the city, from Times Square to Brooklyn and downtown Manhattan, where he featured in his many iconic styles and characters. Whether you're a fan of David Bowie or not, there's no doubting that this street art installation was a worthy tribute to his incredible life. Roa's Trapped Creatures. Alright, while many of the street art that features here is on the lighter side, this next entry has a much darker theme associated to it. Let's introduce you to Roa, an artist and muralist from Ghent in Belgium, who has maintained a shadowy and secretive reputation for his dark art installations. Known as Roa's Trapped Creatures, this astonishingly detailed series of wild animals are juxtaposed against the urban landscape. The common thread that ties together this amazing artist's work is the sense of these creatures being trapped in the mundane designs of our modern urban jungle. And yet, the fact that we have no option but to be subjected to these images raises a far deeper inner question. Who is the trapped creature? Us or them? Roa has developed a reputation for his strong obsessions with animals and rodents, and his work often combines life and death in a matter-of-fact approach. Believe it or not, but much like the incredibly powerful popular artist Banky, Roa has also managed to maintain a secret identity. His anonymity has kept his work and his spirit free, much like the animals that he captures in his incredible art. Cosimo Shion's Lurking Giants. Ever seen Attack on Titan? Ever thought that being chased by giant humanoid creatures would be the most terrifying thing imaginable? Well, depending on the time of day or what you've been up to, these incredible artworks could give you a serious fright, especially if you were unfortunate enough to stumble upon them unaware. Although these urban portraits are truly astonishing to behold, it seems to suggest a giant human presence living within our inner cities, ready to launch themselves at whoever's unlucky enough to pass them by. Sure, it's effective, but more importantly, what does it mean? Well, although some would perceive this giant invasion as a threat, perhaps there's something more optimistic at play here. Maybe the giant is us, waiting to leave our tunnel of emotional entrapment and show the world our true size and true potential. Yeah, alright, that could be a stretch, but hey, all art is subjective, right? Created by Milano-based street artist Cosimo Shion Kaifa, these incredible 3D interactive pieces have transformed empty walls and spaces across Europe. By using the power of perspective, Cosimo has also managed to create the visual effect of the artworks interacting with their environment, resulting in some pretty special photo opportunities. The last are lost from the list. One of the most incredible functions of street art is the ability to spark conversations in places that would not usually hear them. Whether it's the blazing city streets of South America or the windswept alleyways of Europe, street art has the ability of transplanting people and places deep into the heart of the most unexpected locations. This astonishing work of art, titled as The Last Are Lost from the List, is located in Athens, Greece, and was installed as a method of street art activism with the striking intention of raising awareness to the deforestation of the Amazon rainforest. Created by an Indonesian artist named only as WD, or Wild Drawing, his series of murals has street art installations and featured in pretty much all four corners of the globe, and his motivation in art is to bring attention to the voiceless. The Last Are Lost from the List has been heralded as one of the most important street art murals of recent times and has been vital in raising awareness to the indigenous people of the Amazon. It reminds us that no matter how advanced our cities and our skylines become, we're still children of the natural world. The Living Wall. Okay, this next entry certainly gives a new meaning to another brick in the wall. Believe it or not, but sometimes the most obvious of art can be found in the crumbling ruins of old buildings and dilapidated ruins. The Living Wall graffiti, conceptualized by Russian artist Nikita Nomares shows a series of somber pieces that utilize falling bricks and disused buildings to create a cast of surreal 3D faces, breathing life into the landscape with a bizarre and almost cartoonish approach. This particular piece, known as the Toothy Men, is a good representation of the overall collection, which seeks to revitalize crumbling spaces in the ex-Soviet satellites of Eastern Europe, as well as the former homeland of the Soviet Union. However, rather than give us pretty flowers and animals to look at, Nomares' intention seems to be an attempt to return to the grimacing face of an old, unhealthy-looking man, a reflection of the crumbling landscape that Nikita grew up in. Sure, maybe we're reading into this a little too deeply, but hey, maybe it is definitely an acknowledgement of the Soviet collapse that came before, as well as the politicians and leaders who were ultimately responsible for its downfall, and the construction of the concrete-clad communist heartland. Although these faces look as if they've been there for decades, Nomares rarely plans his installations, instead favoring a naturalistic approach where he says that the crumbling ruins of the city come to him in moments of inspiration. J.C. Rowe's incredible murals. Alright, despite starting out as an unknown kid with a spray can, this guy has gone on to be commissioned by the likes of Apple, Nike, and Adidas, so it's certainly no surprise that his work is absolutely breathtaking. Hey, if you want to be at the top of your game, you gotta be good. J.C. Rowe is an artist based in Long Beach, California, and his bold dimensional work is both paint and interactive installations have ranged from the hyper-realistic to a reduced futuristic style. Oh, and did we forget to mention that his work is composed only of triangles? Yeah, you heard that right. Growing up, JC was captivated by the likes of Michael Jordan and the hip-hop giants of NWA, and his passions have since turned to inspiration, featuring in some of the most incredible murals that the world has ever seen. J.C. Rowe has created triangular murals of Jordan, Kobe, Eazy-E, Snoop Dogg, even Steve Jobs, and his distinctive style has certainly cemented his reputation as one of the most exciting and impactful street artists of recent times. Leon Keir's augmented reality art. Throughout the last few years, augmented reality has seen an exciting surge in the art world and has particularly come to life in the world of publishing, picture books, graphic novels, and now, believe it or not, but street art. Meet Leon Keir, one of the world's leading artists in the specific style of anamorphic street art, a playful and exciting display where his incredible murals come to life and fully interactivate with their audience. Keir is a specialist in creating these interactive murals, not only through 3D optical effect that actually makes up the installation, but for his own app, the Leon Keir app, that connects those viewing his art up close with a whole new world of interactivity. Astonishingly, his artwork invites spectators to grab their phones and interact with the art, where they are then free to navigate their way around Leon Keir's work with a whole different perspective. Keir has since been commissioned to create his pieces in cities all across the globe, from Europe and the United States to Mexico, Russia, New Zealand, Australia, and many places across Asia. In his own words, Leon Keir says that his paintings intend to confront the viewer with the diseased spirit of our times, contracting visible decay with a timeless longing for unspoiled beauty. Wow. Adam Fu's Glow Style. For our next entry, let's take a look at the works of Adam Fujita, also known as Adam Fu, an artist from San Francisco who creates neon signage using spray paint. What? Yeah, you heard that right. The guy creates neon signs with spray paint. Currently based in New York, Adam Fu has been creating waves in the street art scene since the early 1990s, but his recent neon style didn't come to light until 2016 as a response to the US election results that saw Donald Trump appointed as president. In his own words, Adam Fu has been using these neon signs as a metaphor for keeping the lights on, as he views his work has been incredibly critical of the volatile and dangerous Trump administration. Adam's glow style can be found across most of New York City, where it also addresses social issues such as police violence, women's rights, corporate greed, gender issues, and nativism. Whatever you think of his approach, there's no denying the fact that Adam Fu's glow style is a true work of art. Johan Carlgren's surprise art. And finally, for our last entry into this weird and wonderful world of street art, let's take a look at one of the most surprising and unexpected features on this list. Despite being a beautiful and incredible liberal place, Sweden is often a country often associated with uniformity that favors a sleek and modern style celebrated for its simplicity and efficiency. However, despite the muted tones of pastel and the earthen colors of the Scandinavian style, Johan Carlgren has made it his mission to add some cartoonish color to the streets of Sweden. The Swedish artist, known for his 8-bit style pixel art creations, began installing his miniature pieces back in the early 2010s, where he recreated popular cultural figures from perler beads and placed them in the most unsuspecting of places. Most of his stunning pixel art creations are inspired by pop culture figures from cartoons, video games, and old movies, and he has since become a welcome addition to the streets of Stockholm and the rest of the country. Amazing. Well, there we have it, folks. 15 amazing street art that is at another level. What do you guys think? Let us know your thoughts down in the comment section below. Thanks for sticking around all the way until the end. You've been watching The Missing Files. See you next time.